The Space Between Time by Lucinda Sage-Midgorden. Quote, Sorrow prepares you for joy. It violently sweeps everything out of your house so that new joy can find space to enter. It shakes the yellow leaves from the bough of your heart so that fresh green leaves can grow in their place. It pulls up the rotten roots so that new roots hidden beneath have room to grow. Whatever sorrow shakes from your heart, far better things will take their place. Unquote. Rumi. Chapter 1, Section 1. Jenna awoke with a start. Every night for the last few months she dreamed of a menacing monster man dragging her away into darkness. Every morning all that remained was the terror generated by the phantom. This time, however, the dream was different. The man in the dream let go of her when the soft rustle of petticoats drew near. Cringing in fear, he melted away into the ethers. She looked, but couldn't see the female presence, except for what she was wearing. A long Civil War-style dress with purple-gray folds of skirt flowing over large hoops. Sighing, Jenna knew she was safe. As she was trying to remember the new details of her dream, the annoying beep, beep, beep of the alarm clock brought her back to reality. Though she groaned, the coming day seemed a little brighter. As she turned to wake Sam, it occurred to her that sometimes he acted like the man in her dream. Feeling shame, she asked herself again why she had let the situation with him go on so long. Reluctantly, she reached to wake him, but he wasn't in bed. She gasped as she turned on the light. He was sitting completely dressed in the chair near her side of the bed. "What are you doing sitting in the dark?" For once, his usually mischievous eyes were serious. "I gotta talk to you, babe. This is hard." He took a deep breath and plunged in. "I put in for a promotion and I got it. I'm going to L.A." Jenna's head was foggy. "Wait, what?" "I've been meaning to tell you." He paused and then rushed on. "I'm moving to L.A. It hasn't been working for us for a long time. You've stopped supporting me to run home to Mama to pretend to be a writer. It's good we discovered it now." He leaned forward. "Gotta go." She propped herself up against the headboard. "Wait, what are you saying?" He frowned, as if he didn't understand why she was being so obtuse. "I'm saying that neither one of us is happy. I'm breaking our engagement and moving to L.A." Shock paralyzed her. Even though she had nearly ended their engagement so many times, she hadn't had the courage. Now he was walking out. Her stomach clenched and her head spun. She stopped breathing. Swinging her legs out of the bed, she made one last attempt. She clenched her teeth to keep from screaming. "You're breaking up with me at 5 a.m.? Can't we talk about this tonight?" "No, babe, I'm leaving today. I start on Monday. Besides, you're going home to Mama tonight." She ignored the last sentence. "So you're just leaving without giving us a chance to talk things over." All the time she had tried to get him to talk about their relationship flashed through her mind. He'd always managed to evade the discussions and made her feel like she'd been silly to suggest anything was wrong. "You know, it'll just be the same old stuff, and we'll be right back where we were." Pounding her pillow instead of punching Sam, she finally admitted to herself that they had never had a real relationship. "I never said I was unhappy. I said we needed to work things out. But you never had the time to do that." Sam blew a puff of air out his mouth. "Come on, don't make this my fault. You know you want things a certain way, and if you can't have them, then you make me suffer." She stood up with her arms folded across her chest to face him. "I make you suffer? Oh, that's a laugh. I want us to have a real relationship where we talk things over and make decisions together. Whenever I bring that up, you run screaming from the room and I don't see you for days." Sam unfolded himself in slow sections. As he rose from the chair, she was struck again by his outward beauty. Too bad it was only skin deep. He looked down at her from his great height. "I'm not going to argue about it now. As far as I'm concerned, we gave it a good try, but the sex got boring and you didn't want to support my career. It's over. Don't worry. You'll find some boring guy who'll adore you. I'll be back for my stuff after you're gone. You keep the furniture, but I want my ring back." He put out his hand. Seeing red, with every nerve tingling, Jenna moved toward him slowly, her fists clenched. "No, you can't have my ring back. You gave it to me. You broke off the engagement, so it's mine. You can't ask for it back." She pushed past him toward the door, knowing keeping the expensive ring would be the only way she could get back at him. "Besides, I'll need to hock it so I can put a deposit on a cheaper apartment. Now get out of here." For a moment, Jenna thought she saw a cloud of inky black energy dart out from Sam's head toward her, but when she blinked, it was gone. He picked up the suitcase she hadn't noticed on the other side of the door and sneered. "You know, I never told you what a needy bitch you are. My friends wonder why I stayed with you so long." With a self-satisfied smirk on his face, he left. "Your friends are shallow and vapid, just like you," she shouted as she followed him. He stopped halfway down the stairs. "There you go again, using a big word that nobody knows the meaning of. Why don't you talk like normal people?" The words she'd longed to say for months came tumbling out in a rush. "What? Like your homies always talking about what the Kardashians are doing or the latest episode of Survivor or Dancing with the Stars? Can I help it if they're illiterate? I make a reference to Walt Whitman. They think I'm talking about a box of chocolates. You can have them. I'd rather have an intelligent conversation with someone boring than the mind-numbing hot air that comes out of their mouths." Sam's face contorted into a malicious grin. He had an inky black halo around his head. "You just proved my point, you..." His face screwed up and he tried to remember the word. "Shrew. At least I learned one old word from that Shakespeare play you dragged me to. Thank God we'll never see each other again." He picked up his bag and bounded down the rest of the stairs, finishing their argument by slamming the door so hard it shook the front windows. "Ah!" Jenna screamed at the inky, slimy energy Sam had left behind. Well, that's that. She turned back into the enormous bedroom. Though she was filled with rage and shame, she sighed with relief. Every day the stalemate had gone on, she became more anxious. The moment of truth had finally come, and she was still standing. Maybe this was what the nightmares had been trying to tell her all along. She'd fallen for another guy who was only looking for what he could get from her. Taking in a cleansing breath through her nose, she forced it out her mouth and went into the bathroom. The mirror above his sink with the cabinet behind it stood open. It was empty. Looking at herself in the mirror, she wondered why he'd been attracted to her in the first place. She wasn't his type at all. Though some people thought she was attractive, there was no competing with the beauty of the models he was surrounded by. Then there were the idiosyncrasies of her personality. She was an introvert to his extra extrovert. She preferred quiet evenings at home with a small group of friends earnestly discussing the latest book, movie, or current event. But even more than that, she loved being home alone. That had never been possible since the day she met Sam. He was in his element in the noise of a ball game, busy restaurant, nightclub, or party thrown by the local power brokers. He knew everyone. Of course, his favorite topics of conversation were his latest triumphant ad campaign or a celebrity he'd met. He'd chosen her because she could talk intelligently with his potential clients on almost any topic. Standing in front of the mirror, she was tempted to wallow in self-contempt. However, she remembered the rustles of petticoat in her dream, and a little voice deep inside assured her that there was nothing wrong with her. Easy for you to say. Stepping into the shower, she let the hot water soothe her body. Her feelings were raw and her tears mingled with the shower droplets. She took off Sam's ring, leaving it on the shower shelf, knowing this time she'd have to face herself. Drying off, she pulled herself together long enough to get ready for the long day ahead. Putting the overnight bag she'd packed the night before into the trunk, she drove to work without breakfast. Her stomach was stuffed with self-condemnation.